Aria Morgan, a soft-spoken store clerk, lived a life of routines dictated by the beep of a barcode scanner and the shuffle of clogs on linoleum floors. She'd long harbored a yearning for tennis, a game she'd only admired from afar on flickering television screens and vivid magazine covers. Save for clinging to dreams, Aria's days were filled with budget-friendly prowls at thrift stores and afternoons spent dividing her paycheck between rent, food, and a modest amount set aside for something elusive, a real experience beyond her reach. The day had finally come when she could explore a sliver of that dream. She saved just enough, a triumph of numerous skipped lunches and careful coin pinching, to join a beginner's session at the illustrious Greenridge Tennis Club, her heart pounding both from excitement and apprehension. Stepping into the opulent lobby of the club, she was met with an overwhelming sensory assault, the haunting bouquet of fresh flowers, echoes of polite laughter, and the gleam of trophies snug in their glass cases. Her thrift store ensemble, an outfit painstakingly chosen for such an occasion, felt inadequate under the scrutiny of well-dressed members milling about. In an unsteady voice, she approached the equipment desk with hope and said, "May I borrow a tennis bat?" Her phrasing, harmless to her, drew amused glances. The air grew taut when Vanessa, a sleekly dressed tennis coach known for her sharp tongue, looked disdainfully at her. Loud enough for everyone to hear, Vanessa's voice pierced the hum of the lobby. "Looks like we're a charity case today, thinking she can just waltz in to use things for free." Scorn mingled with disbelief on Aria's cheeks, rendering her rooted in place, too shocked and silent to respond amidst the low hum of murmuring voices. As Vanessa's scorn lingered in the air, attendees shifted subtly, some casting glances of amusement, while others exchanged whispers behind discerning smiles. A few club members, glazed in the finery of prestige, smirked from across the lobby, finding entertainment in Aria's visible unease. More tender-hearted witnesses watched with quiet discomfort, their eyes flitting away from the sight of this public rebuke, unwilling to intervene but uneasy with the spectacle unfolding. In the heart of the club's gleaming entrance, Aria's confidence withered, leaving her to stand there, a wilting flower amidst a manicured garden of exclusivity and glamour. The sting of their judgment reflected starkly against her earlier anticipation, and with a small, quivering nod, she turned on her heel, cradling her worn backpack. She left quickly, leaving behind the allure and shine of a world she'd hoped, if only briefly, to belong to. Once outside, the quiet of early afternoon seemed stark and still, the sun casting long shadows across the intricate courtyard. Aria found a nearby bench, wooden and unadorned, a humble refuge against the grandiosity she'd just fled from. As she sat, the warmth of the sun on her face was a small consolation, though it did little to quell the storm of emotions swirling within her. Memories, vivid and unbidden, rushed in as she replayed the scene again and again in her mind. It had taken months of planning, with each penny saved affectionately tucked away in a tiny metal box beside her bed, to reach this point. More than a costly whim, this escapade into tennis was built on years of yearning, nurtured through stolen moments of watching games from afar and reading stories of empowerment and joy through the sport's rhythmic flow. The journey had not been easy. She recalled bright mornings beginning before the sun graced the sky, her footsteps echoing softly through the sleepy town as she walked to work without the aid of a car. With hours spent on feet greeting customers, stocking shelves, and slicing through a mundane existence, her rare joys were defined by modest yet passionate hopes. Tennis, she knew, symbolized more than athleticism. It was a dance of discipline, freedom, and a peculiar beauty that captured the complexity of life. Recent conversations at the town community center had spurred this step, where suggestions to explore new activities were partly in celebration of her recent promotion and partly in quiet encouragement towards the fresh start she had been yearning for so long. Tennis became a beacon of something new, something alive. The whisper of such dreams carried her through the days, lifting her spirits through small yet relentless adversities. But now, sitting alone on that bench, the weight of abandonment settled heavy around her, squeezing the very breath from her dreams. Tears prickled, hot and swift, though she refused the satisfaction of shedding them in the open, still unwilling to cow to the judgments impressed upon her minutes ago. Instead, Arya anchored herself in memories of strength, tracing back through the arduous path she had walked to reach this very moment, highlighting sacrifices made on her behalf, a humble yet dignified acceptance of her life's trajectory. Her parents, hardworking yet burdened by the same struggles, had instilled in her an ethos of perseverance, kindness, and an unwavering commitment to a life defined by integrity rather than circumstance. The injustice of her recent humiliation bristled sharply against these principles, standing as a reluctant reminder of society's enduring class divisions. For Arya, every day was not merely a survival but a continued battle against an indifferent world. Today had been a harsh lesson, cruelest of all, because it taught her to be wary of hoping for more. After a time that felt like both an eternity and but a moment, the sun slipped further across the sky, casting long shadows over the landscaped gardens. Arya drew a shivering breath, steadying herself against the oppressive hug of solitude. The bench beneath her provided a kind of grounding comfort, a neutral yet supportive base from which to gather her thoughts and muster the courage to piece herself back together. In this fleeting communion with despair, alongside the undeniable strength simmered a realization. The silent fight was hardly over. Her dreams, though bruised, did not deserve to die quietly on this bench amid strangers' unknowing gazes. While the world might, at times, stand tall against her, Arya sensed the only true downfall would be to surrender herself to such barriers forever. Gradually, reverently, she stood, her posture straining past humility into something bolder, resilience born of righteous defiance. She hadn't come so far just to abandon hope in the face of ridicule. The taste of injustice lingered, but it left behind a resolve that tasted of iron and determination. So, she retraced her steps toward home, leaving feathers of her vulnerability as she traveled, a gradual replenishment of determination illuminating her path. The harsh encounter at the tennis club was merely another grim testament to navigate in her growing collection of experiences. Yet the journey home pulsed with something unyielding, her spirits drawn toward the next chapter, whatever that might be. The street unfurled before her in familiarity, yet her steps forged new territories of realization as strength and hope reknit within her soul. With the fading beams of sunlight casting intricate designs across the pavement, Arya emerged from the shadows of her earlier despair with renewed determination for justice and equal footing. While she had been judged by threads and demeanor, a cruel testament to society's segregation by wealth, Arya's emerging purpose was born of conviction and courage. Her confrontation with such prejudice would not clip the wings of hope she had nurtured back to life. With eyes clear and posture firm, she stepped into the realm of her next challenge, unbowed, undefeated, and alive with the heart of a fighter born anew. As the late afternoon began to settle, casting gentle hues across the streets, Arya made her way home, each step carrying the weight of her reflections yet buoyed by a newfound resolve. Her private moment of anguish on the bench had silently evolved into something fiercer, a pledge not to let the day's defeat define her. Arya's journey of restoration required embracing the inherent valor within her. That recognition spurred her into thinking more critically about the fabric of the injustice she faced, not just against herself, but symbolically, against many others like her who felt marginalized by the elite veneer reflecting exclusivity more than excellence. Her shoes scuffed lightly against the pavement as she recounted, vividly, the events of the day. Overhead, the branches of oaks and maples danced lightly in the breeze, their rustling leaves whispering encouragements. Her mind lingered on the disdain with which Vanessa had dismissed her, the echoes of judgment still clinging like shadowy vines wrapped around her heart. Yet amidst these reflections, Arya's path was instinctively drawn towards something else. She found herself meandering back near the club, its lavish architecture framed boldly against a backdrop of fading daylight. This place now represented not just failed dreams but a ground zero of opportunity, unplanned yet perfect for reawakening a sense of justice long dormant within her spirit. As she neared the building's side entrance, something caught her eye, a door ajar leading to a narrow service corridor at the back. The low murmur of voices floated towards her, and curiosity guided her feet whilst her mind buzzed with a cautious awareness of every sound. Pausing just inside, Arya overheard two staff members conversing quietly, their tones hushed with the weight of secrets meant to remain hidden. Their conversation carried clipboards and corporate jargon, yet the crux of what they discussed sent shivers of surprise down her spine. "Why isn't management fixing that?" one staffer exclaimed, frustration etched across his words. "The water fountain contamination isn't just a minor issue, we've already had a few people fall sick, and it's only a matter of time." The exchange hit Arya square in the chest. Contaminated water at the club? The implications were troubling, casting a shadow on the institution's vaunted reputation. She felt a jolt of righteousness surge through her, the responsibility of bearing witness to potential wrongdoing, and struggled within the space of ethical action. Peering in, she documented the interaction surreptitiously with her phone, capturing elements she knew might be significant if brought to light. The fading paint on emergency exit signs, a lack of proper safety documentation posted, first aid kits stacked in neglected corners, all were legacy failures of ignored responsibilities. These revelations mingled with Arya's own experience that morning, painting a bitter picture of systemic negligence masked by fleeting glitz. Gone was the instinct to shrink beneath scorn. Here was the tangible source of purpose, bringing with it the gravity of a choice momentous yet personal. As Arya slipped back into the fading daylight, her heart spoke of only one solution: to lean into the moment's call for action, a beacon honed by both consequence and courage. Her instinct guided her hand to record observations into her phone, thumbs moving with deft precision as she outlined every detail seen and heard, embedding them into an email addressed to a notable local journalist. This journalist, she remembered, specialized in unraveling community stories where rights were compromised and justice unearthed. Arya thought about this as she clicked send, exhaling deeply as the burden of her discovery shifted from her shoulders to the digital realm, where it could unfold into far-reaching change beyond her control. With resolve now shared, Arya made her way home under a canopy of stars beginning to emerge faintly in the summer sky. Her pace was marked with confidence, feet moving assuredly across pathways of experience once daunting but now familiar. The echo of her discovery throbbed steadily within her chest. She had not just confronted behalf for herself, she'd navigated her role within a much wider tapestry that revealed fractures and failings larger than her own. By sending this message, Arya hoped her small yet pivotal act could ripple outward, carving pathways towards accountability within elite circles unaccustomed to scrutiny. There was a surprising lightness in the realization that this journey, ambiguous as its outcome might be, was not born of vengeance but resolve, propelled forward by standing up for those either too vulnerable, too marginalized, or unaware of the very barriers built against them. Arya's thoughts returned to Vanessa and the idea of free lessons once coveted. The musings of change shifted as she pondered what justice meant to her. It painted a future where personal validation derived not from clubs or exclusive clutches, but via courage and solidarity woven into regular existence. The rhythm of her steps melded smoothly into the night's gentle silence, promising tomorrows where self-worth danced beyond stigma, unhindered by class constraints, uniting simple dreams with truthful action. As she paused before turning the knob to enter her apartment, Arya exhaled once more, a closing act for the day, grateful for humble beginnings and the taste of choices defining her path. Her day's tumultuous chapters guided her into a quiet night washed over in silvery moonlight, a fitting prelude to the story unfolding further. As she drifted off to sleep, her heart held firmly to hope, believing fully in laid foundations leading towards justice, the correct course solidifying with each turn in her life's narrative reshaping into union, dignity, and undeterred triumph. Days turned into a whirlwind as Arya's morning email blazed across the digital landscape, landing in the inbox of a local journalist renowned for uncovering injustices with a sharp, unrelenting eye. The journalist, intrigued by Arya's earnest account and the incriminating video she had included, wasted no time piecing together a compelling story. It wasn't just about a sports club's negligence but an exposé of class disdain and safety oversights. Once the journalist published the article, it took the internet by storm, sharing the narrative of not only a contaminated water fountain in an elite club but also the indignity endured by a humble store clerk. The story quickly went viral on social media, bloggers and influencers helping it amplify across platforms with a speed only modern-day sharing could accomplish. The depiction of Arya, ostracized yet resolute, standing as the voice against wrongdoing, struck a chord with a broad audience. Public sentiment surged, swelling like a wave with empathy and indignation. Comments poured in by the thousands. Many shared similar experiences of exclusion or condescendence at luxury venues, while others lauded Aria's courage to stand up against elitism. Facing mounting backlash, Greenridge Tennis Club's management oscillated between platitudes and panic, trying to stem the tide of negativity. They hastily released a statement to local news outlets, intending to downplay the situation and promising immediate corrective measures. But skepticism was difficult to combat with mere words. The public's trust had been broken, their veneers shattered by revelations the club struggled to manage. Simultaneously, Aria's phone buzzed incessantly with notifications, from messages of solidarity to interview requests from media outlets drawn to her story's human drama and its broader societal implications. Her courage became a rallying cry, igniting sparks of change that began converging into a profound movement for fairness in the community. City health inspectors had no choice but to leap into action, arriving at the club within days to perform in-depth investigations. They promptly verified the allegations about the water contamination, a discovery that only fueled the outrage. Further inspections exposed several breaches of safety protocols, warnings had gone unheeded, and sanctions quickly followed, including fines and a forced temporary closure for essential updates and renovations. Dragged into unwanted scrutiny of their internal practices, Greenridge's higher-ups could do little but hope swift reforms would placate the gathering storm. Vanessa, the cynical coach responsible for Aria's embarrassment, was not spared a dose of accountability. Club politics turned swiftly against her, and she was suspended pending an internal review, facing the wrath not just from resolved authorities but from disgruntled members who feared reputational damage by association. Meanwhile, Aria was astounded by the tidal wave of support rolling her way. Her friends and co-workers at the supermarket banded together, expressing colossal pride in her resolve. She was even more astonished by the outpouring of solidarity messages from strangers, many of whom recognized themselves in her story and her journey through ridicule to a place of quiet dignity. Invitations came forth from local community groups and advocacy workshops, eager to channel her voice into broader conversations about accessibility, equity, and the need for systemic change. She accepted several, surprised yet honored, her experiences now translating into sage perspectives appreciated by those seeking reform at everyday places. Other community members who faced similar scenes of class-based marginalization across multiple settings spoke out as well, emboldened by Aria's bravery to share their narratives. As a result, a quiet yet resolute wave of renewed awareness and advocacy took root, stretching into new realms where justice could blossom and those long silenced found peace in stepping forward to be heard. Amidst all this, Aria felt overwhelmed but fulfilled, each validation further buoying her forward, a daily embodiment of resilience standing taller under the watchful eyes of change. Her perspective shifted, now less fearful of traditional conventions and more assured in commanding spaces previously marked as inaccessible. Her own aspirations transformed too, tempered with a fresh sense of purpose delivered not just through advocacy but through the inner peace that came with bringing change to the world she operated within. The story of the club's negligence and Aria's response became more than an exposé, evolving into a powerful testament to speaking truth to power. Though initially reluctant, Aria had inadvertently become a catalyst for change, leading by example and navigating this new role with measured composure. The tennis club, still rocked by the ripple effect of the article and its aftermath, saw a growing movement among its genuine fair play members demanding reform and a shift towards inclusive community sportsmanship. As the club's renovations began, Aria received word that new policies were underway, born out of necessity but now entrenched in a newfound commitment towards inclusivity, transparency, and respect. Old, decaying systems were slowly giving way to renovated ones rebuilt with conscious purpose. Though public interest waxed and waned, the seeds of change had been planted, and ignorance had no fertile soil to fester upon. Across community spaces, Aria's story lingered as inspiration, reminding individuals of power harnessed through bravery, once fueled by mere curiosity, now a steady light guiding paths toward continued justice. In the weeks that unfolded, Arya found herself entangled in deepened community bonds, each fortified through shared values uniting growth and advocacy beyond shadows of exclusion. Her journey rendered visible the invisible, rerouting narratives into stories unwritten but now witnessed. She persisted into her tomorrows, where courage began with reclaiming dignity and transformed into something far greater, rooted in her steadfast heart. Still, motion forward was defined by the inviolable truth Arya bore witness to, a simple reminder that when faced with unjust odds, standing up carried unmistakable honor, a promise spun from pasts reclaimed into a shambled but sincere future of justice hopeful and bright. In the days that followed, as Arya settled back into her routines, life at the supermarket felt familiar yet different. Something in her had shifted permanently, an inner ring of truth echoing through every aisle she navigated, each transaction ringing with a strange, newfound sense of purpose. Though the world she knew remained largely unchanged, she walked differently, steadier, head held aloft, carrying within her the resonance of voices she'd aligned with and helped bring to light. The local headlines had quieted, but not without leaving indelible marks across the community's fabric. The Greenridge Tennis Club stood as a testament to the potential for metamorphosis, not perfect, but heedful of improvement, its once gleaming gates now under tangible renovation. Fresh coats of paint symbolized more than merely cosmetic refresh. Promises of transparency and inclusive outreach programs were slowly set into action as well. An initiative to partner with local schools and create a community sports day was already in planning, with an emphasis on accessibility for all. Arya received a formal apology from the club, arriving one morning in a neatly typed letter that bore the weight of institutional gravitas. Though polite and decisively apologetic, it was not the balm she sought, her mending wounds long since hewn courtesy of her actions rather than grand gestures. Instead, she filed the letter neutral but certain, choosing to tuck it away with the view perpetuated, isolation into novel respect, forged along a worthier journey than any simple reconciliation could offer. Such reflections took shape over cups of tea shared with friends or in quiet moments stretched across sunlit afternoons spent lounging in the local park. Rather than slip into insignificance, Arya's courageous heart continued to resonate across waves of new initiatives. She'd accepted an invitation to assist community events hosted at the revamped yet humbled club, speaking candidly about her experiences and the pathways change could traverse through collective advocacy. Over time, other stories unfolded, testimonies of strength from similar silent fighters who'd quietly claimed their spaces. They approached Arya during community roundtables or simple gatherings, some shyly, others with boundless exuberance, all offering gratitude for her resolve. They birthed connections meaningful and profound, sparking discussions through diverse lived experiences that experienced common stiflings, now brandished for reparative dialogues. And so the chapters progressed, each turning page reflecting subtle transformations marking Arya's path into regular activity rich in intersectional impact. New initiatives, inspired by her efforts, promised to alter inaccessible offerings within not just tennis but allied places, like city pools, theaters, and public gyms, eroding barriers constructed unwisely. Her story became woven into a burgeoning movement framed by grace, compassion, and unyielding forward momentum. On a day like any other, Arya received an unexpected note, sent from a city office recognizing her social contribution with gratitude, signed by the mayor, who applauded the unintentional yet extraordinary ripple effect born from her bravery. In this unexpected acknowledgement, she saw how simple yet intrepid veracity breathed life into antiquated places. It was honor for work quietly embraced between demands of daily life. The acknowledgement kindled quiet celebration among her colleagues at the supermarket, their applause rolling in sincere waves washing Arya in warmth, a spirited tribute rooted deeply within the bonds formed among those sharing simple moments made powerful by reunion. These commingled ties carried through countless evening laughter punctuated by joy shared, ushering daylight woven with hope reinforced. Meanwhile, expressions of support also continued arriving from distant shores. An unexpected benefactor, touched by Arya's story, offered her a journal contract, inviting her to write about her advocacy journey. With hope founded on truth-telling, she penned her experiences not just with clarity but with the elegance of lessons learned through trials, crafting narratives of empowerment, resilience, and dignity reclaimed. One unassuming morning, Amelie, a young tennis coach with a vision for inclusivity, approached Aria, requesting her aid once more in shaping these new accessible practices planned within the club. Amelie's enthusiasm mirrored kindness imbued with genuine care, a refreshed embodiment of what Vanessa once lacked. Together, they embarked on fresh dialogues targeted towards systematic reform, casting the rubble of exclusion aside to build spaces textured by harmony rather than hierarchy. Aria regarded this renewed opportunity as a sign, an authentic reclaiming of long-lost tales sealed through collaborative impact rooted passionately in dignity. Her life had unfolded not perfectly but undoubtedly as it should, a weft woven between mundane realities and vibrant underscored scenes brought into stark relief. For Aria, contentment came not through recognition but through knitting networks promoting environments paralleled by compassion. Through speaking engagements, workshops attended, and countless dreams cultivated, Aria advanced the creation of positive change, ensuring communities collided not in judgment but alignment. Her ultimate legacy lay gently amidst whispers embracing present challenges framing tomorrow's inventive justice. On an afternoon washed warmly in sun, Aria settled into herself, sipping tea within the comforting bounds of her home, a haven orbiting solidarity and clarity. Across her face flit the softest of smiles, enlightened by transformative strength imbued into understanding purpose not constructed upon reachable horizons but by tireless resolve to move and act. As her thoughts wandered, touching the immaterial yet spirited, Aria's eyes grazed the club's new policies displayed proudly during a neighborhood walk. Their quiet intent reflected genuine refurbishment sculpted by outcry heard and acknowledged, creating spaces safe for countless people unhurriedly intersecting. Her future tied seamlessly into stories mundane yet transcendent, advancing individually significant but communally shared themes, everything from social justice evenings hosted for learning to due processes thoughtfully presented for impactful reformations activated. In these moments of quiet reflection, traces of uncertainty softened into self-evident truths born from relentless pursuit of dignity over title, behavior over outcome. Beneath each experience imbued with hardship lay faith rooted profoundly within her, the reality that identity and change outlasted temporary systems molded gently into awareness.